Episode 145 of the Wilderness Podcast is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Support the show at patreon.com/thewildernesspodcast. Our supporter of the week is Zyres. We're also brought to you by Audible. Get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. Welcome to episode 145 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dills, and joined with me is Mr. Magpie.
What's good?
So this week, it's a bit of a doozy of a week. First things first, though, it is the week before Runefest. So this weekend, Runefest will be taking place on Friday and Saturday. You can check online to see what time exactly each event's going to be. We're going to talk about that later on, though, because we got some cool things planned for that. A new quest was dropped onto us on Thursday, the Fremennik Exiles, and the Jmods gave a message about the unofficial clients with the pop-up of RuneLite Plus, and now with OS Buddy kind of having some kind of controversial plugins. Jagex kind of made a statement. We'll get into that, though.
Yeah.
Some stuff on the QA they mentioned. And yeah, and then with community chatter, we had a Jmod leave us this week. So another OG of the team.
Another loss.
It's unfortunate. There's nothing else that I saw. I don't know if you saw anything else going on.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's been a quiet week.
Oh, I saw an article on Kotaku about a player spending... a player on RuneScape 3 spending a shit ton of money through microtransactions. So, I mean, we might be beating a dead horse at this point, but it's kind of crazy to see at what lengths some people can go.
Well, that whole controversy was unfolding when we took a short hiatus, so you can always revisit it and cover and break it down.
Oh, okay. So there's gonna be more to it, you think?
Yeah. It's a big legal issue in the UK.
That's right. Okay, yeah, I know. It's been kind of a debate across different countries. Anyways, we'll get into that once we get to that community chatter part. But before all of that talk, Magpie, up to anything interesting this week?
Honestly, not much. I'm trying to think. I haven't done anything out of the ordinary. I mean, the new quest dropped. I did that with a couple buddies. I guess we'll go over that in a bit. But I just sent out some law school applications. Sent my first two.
Is that a big deal?
Today.
Sending out law school apps?
Oh yeah, that is. Because the whole time I'm wondering, did I add everything? Maybe maybe my personal statement could have been better. Maybe I had a typo or something. And they were ready for the last few days. It's just, I was just sitting on them worried that there were typos and stuff. I got a bunch of friends read and reread and then reread all of them just to get a third, fourth, fifth set of eyes, just to make sure they're looking good and nobody missed any typos or anything. So, yeah, it's been pretty tense. I have so many to get on with. You can submit them until April, but from all the law schools I've reached out to personally, they've always said you have an advantage applying first. I guess they're more lenient because they have a bunch more spaces and this guy doesn't know shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
True.
Might as well pick him up. What's the worst that can happen? Which is I'm hoping what'll get me over the finish line. Whereas, if you apply it really late into the deadline, they're okay, we only have 200 spots. Let's eliminate everyone who won't make it or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I feel you. Is there anything in law that you want to get into? Any particular...
I want to do international law. I don't the whole courtroom style. I don't just want to be a defense attorney, even though I loved playing Phoenix Wright as a kid, if you remember that.
I don't...
It's the Nintendo DS law games where you basically... That's where the objection meme comes from and stuff.
Okay.
But being an in-house counsel really for some kind of international nonprofit would be super nice. It's something that I can go to sleep without a guilty conscience, knowing I'm using my law degree for the better. It sounds really political to say, but like all my previous jobs like that have had some kind of pro-social benefit have been like really fulfilling compared to the ones that don't. So I could see that.
When you say international law, do you mean like I'm going to put away some war criminals?
Well, maybe not like war criminals, but just like some human rights work, international, like maybe working with the UN, stuff like that. This is what my mom and my dad like always push me to do, is like they want me to be a UN lawyer and stuff. But I actually really like intellectual property law and stuff, like either being like some kind of player's agent for like a sports industry, like, or like even esports now is being big, and just like figuring out all these new laws when it comes to like the internet and things like Bitcoin and stuff, and it's really cool to get into. So that's what I've been doing like for the most part in real life. And then
God, that sounds hectic.
It's just been like trying to motivate myself to push through them, and my goal is to do at least one per week. So I submitted 2 today, which makes up for last week, and then next week I'll be doing another one and stuff like that. But
cool.
Yeah, it's believe me, it is not cool, but hopefully it is the start of something bigger. And then virtually, in terms of video games, I've started playing Civ 6 with a buddy. I've had it like basically in my Steam library for like over a year now, but I saw him playing it one day, hit him up, and we decided to do like an online co-op game where it was just like us against the world, literally. We rolled random characters, and he got Germany and I got Japan, and we were just like, oh, well, this isn't looking too good.
We know how this turned out.
Yeah, but it's been fun. He's like, he got way better start than me. He's probably a better player. I'm so rusty on Civ, but like, just remember like me and him planning like to take over Spain or some random empire, and we're like, okay, I'm gonna get my units, and he gets his units, and I'm like, okay, I got my 2 catapults and my like horsemen, and he's like, okay, I'm carpet bombing them with my airplanes, and then my my observation balloons coming in, and I've got spies all over their capital. I was like, what the hell is this, dude? I was sitting here with like people on horses and stuff. This man's going in for like nukes. Yeah.
Damn, that's nuts. Civ 6 is the one I could never really get into.
Yeah, I was really a fan of Civ 5, but it's nice.
Yeah, me too.
It's it is what it is. I think it's just a matter of like personal taste, because it plays like Civ 5 to me. I don't know the difference too much. Even though I used to be really into 5.
Civ 6 seems much more strategic in how you build up your cities.
Yeah. It's cool to just like build that empire, but then you get to the point where you just have to keep like moving your units like one tile across every turn, because you have so many, and it's like you go to press next turn, and it's like, wait, nope, you've got another unit you have to move, and it just gets a little bit tedious. But
yeah, you're just like, okay, send them all over here, I just want to fuck these guys up.
Yeah, exactly. But other than that, I mean, I probably sound like a massive newbie to anybody who's good at Civ 6, who's like thinking like, oh, you need to always have your units, like a plan for all units, or you're wasting them or something, which is probably true, but who cares? OSRS related, literally I've just been AFK blood rune crafting. I've been
nice.
Doing a bunch of learner raids. Did a couple duos with Nash from the CC, which is nice. So cool. Every time he hits me up, if I have time, I'm always down. And then
you still on that dry streak?
Oh yeah, believe me, yeah, it's been tough, but I don't see it changing anytime soon. Anyway,
yeah, I guess just the way she goes sometimes.
Yeah, it'll happen. It'll break. I've been doing demonic gorillas actually for my Slayer task, and for some reason I've noticed this. I don't know if this happens with you, but my game lags really, really, really badly in demonics. I don't know if it's like the amount of things the game has to load, maybe the environment is too interactive, or maybe it's the monsters themselves, but like I've tried everything. I've tried turning off the RuneLite plugin, which I guess we're going to talk about in a bit, but like nothing works. It's just CPU overload. Every time I'm in the demonics like dungeon, my CPU usage goes through the roof because I'm tracking it on like Windows and stuff. It just makes it unplayable.
I haven't been there in such a long... Because I only do it if I get a Black Demons task, and I don't...
Yeah.
Well, one, I've been stuck on boss tasks for like months, but second of all, I just haven't gotten one in a long time, and I don't remember lagging, and I don't recall hearing people complain about it. But that's a weird... that's a weird issue to have. I mean, maybe people do. There's tons of issues I realize are in the game, and I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Fun. Sounds like quite eventful as far as your IRL things go.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
It's just in the real world, just school and some work. I'm trying to get caught up. I've been super busy. That's why there was a bit of a hiatus, and I'm not so much caught up right now, but I'm caught up enough that we're able to sit down and record. And this week's going to be particularly busy, mainly because I got some assignments I need to do. And then, of course, this episode, we got Runefest coming up. We have some big plans for that.
You're just sitting there, like, just doing your assignment as we record and stuff?
Yeah, I'm just sitting there, like, recording, doing some voice work. Luckily, it's all pretty easy for the most part. So that shouldn't be too much of an issue, but... And then in RuneScape, really, that's the only game I've been playing, and I've just been AFKing smithing. Yeah. I was doing adamant bars into addy darts, and then I hit I just hit 90 today. Little before we started recording, but I've been doing runite dart tips now that I can make them.
Okay, nice.
And they're better experience per hour. You do make a little bit of a profit, but not a whole lot. But the problem is they're so goddamn expensive.
Yeah, it's like you have to keep going back to the GE selling what you've made and rebuying.
Yeah, that's it. But what I like about it is that it's I don't know, like I buy 1K at a time, which is like 12 mil gold. That's how much it costs. And then when you sell it, you get like 100K back. But it's enough that I can be like, oh, I made 100K, and it's not good money per hour, but it's as far as smithing goes, it doesn't seem horrible.
Yeah, that's understandable. Like smithing is one of those where it's like it's either really AFK and slow or really costly and click intensive with blast furnace. So
yeah, it's like I was doing some blast furnace, but yeah, I've been busy, and luckily smithing is pretty AFK where I'll be in class and I'll have that going, and I'm still being able to focus fully on my schooling.
Yeah.
And then I've been doing some Hydra, 'cause I have that as a Slayer task.
Okay.
So we're making progress there. Slowly but surely. It's not as bad as Calphite Queen. Like Calphite Queen, I was getting burnt out real quickly.
Yeah.
Hydra is a lot more fun, and the only problem is sometimes it'll be late. I'll be playing it. It starts getting late at night, or I'm like drinking wine or something, and I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I have to stop playing because I'll die to something stupid. I'm like, okay, it's no more Hydra for me tonight.
Yeah. That always sucks. Like, and the worst part is because it's an instance, you get a good groove going, and you've got like a bunch of supplies on the ground. You're like, okay, nice, I can like extend this trip, and then you die. It's like, oh no, it was set up so well. Yeah,
that's it. It's and sometimes it's the stupidest thing, and it's so like it happens at Sire for me all the time. Where I'll die to like a poison pool just because I was just being lazy or something, and then I'm like, fuck it, I don't want to boss anymore tonight. I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. You just get tilted. Fuck shit, I'm going back to Civ.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's pretty much it. Random farming runs and Hunter here and there, but nothing really worth mentioning. Oh, I have been having a lot of fun doing Last Man Standing, a lot more than I thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just weird sometimes to take a break to do something that's just for fun with no experience gains or money being made.
Yeah. We were talking about Last Man Standing last week, weren't we?
I think so.
It's nice to have that because you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like Castle Wars back in the day where you're just like, I'm bored from grinding skills. I'm just going to go get a couple Castle Wars kills in me.
Yeah. Yeah, it does give that kind of feeling because you can go and just have a few rounds. You're like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. It's nice. It is what it is.
It's a good change of pace, but, it's still, as far as gains actually being made, it's fairly slow. Sure, I'm getting some experience in smithing, but it's nothing to rave about. But I think before we get into the news, we got a pretty crazy, I guess, weekend coming up with Runefest being released. This is the big event that happens yearly. And they always have such big things planned. And it's like it's only fitting to be able to do something big on our end. And I think before we get into our actual predictions, I think I'm going to talk about kind of what we have planned for the weekend coming up. A lot of it's still in the testing phase, but hopefully everything will be lined up for when Friday happens and the Golden Gnomes happen. But as we've been mentioning the past couple episodes, a familiar name in the Discord and the CC, Xyraz, is going to be going out to Runefest himself, and he's going to be basically being the live correspondent, live on the scenes for Runefest. We were testing things earlier today, but right now what I'm planning on doing on my end is I'll be streaming the whole event, and we'll just streaming it from my end, and then we'll have Xyraz, who will be coming in every now and then to kind of tell us what he sees and what's going on his side of things. He's set himself up with some microphones and all that stuff, but he's going to be looking for people to do interviews and kind of just checking out all the different events that they have planned.
Hell yeah. Are we going to kit him up with like a Periscope stream and stuff?
I never got into that Periscope, but is it still going?
I don't know, honestly. Like, the last time I heard it mentioned was by some super old, like, 40-year-old dude trying to cover a court case. Like, yo, some press reporter, like, we're gonna be live on Periscope. And I was like, really? That's still a thing?
Yeah, that's so weird.
We're gonna get to an age...
Live on Vine.
One day, exactly. We're gonna get to a stage where we're gonna have, like, courtroom cases streamed on someone's Twitch. Can you imagine Twitch chat going crazy over some, like, legal case?
Once like some courtrooms realize they can squeeze out a few extra dollars by having, I think I'd watch that.
Yeah, the judge like takes a break and he's like, we're going to adjourn the jury. And to those of you watching at home, please consider supporting us on our Patreon page. You get free perks. You get access to the jury's room, free mic on the wall style reporting. And you just get like the next level of press reporting.
What when you get into lawyer school, maybe once you maybe that's what you can push for.
Oh dude, exactly. Yeah, can you just imagine like a Twitch chat going crazy over some like court ruling where the judge like, I hereby sentence you to 40 years in jail for running over that kitten or something, and you get like all the Twitch chat memes of like, I was here.
Yeah. Well, I can even see being like, you are sentenced to. Quickly, I want to give a shout out to so-and-so for the $4 donation.
Yeah, midway through the sentence. Yo, what's up, thanks. You just get like the Mod Mad K meme, the one where they overlay his voice on like some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Sadly, that's probably going to be the future. The event is starting on Friday. And if you're living in North America, the times are going to be some of them are going to be a little bit more rough for you to be able to tune in, but you just got to deal with it.
Yeah, just suck it up.
Yeah. So, they say here the doors will be opening at 6 p.m. British Standard Time. So, for myself here in Ontario, that's actually 1 p.m. on Friday. And the awards ceremony will be starting at 8:30 p.m., 3:30 p.m. again for myself here, and
yep.
If you live in like California or something, that's even earlier.
Yeah,
12:30. So it's not too bad on Friday, but on Saturday it's gonna be a real early day. It's the doors open at 10:30 a.m. British Standard Time, which comes out to be about 6:30 a.m. in Ontario.
Is that 5:30 or 6:30? I think that's 5:30 for you, isn't it?
Oh no. Is it? Let me I'm in Eastern Standard Time, so let's see here.
Yeah, it's 5:30. Because that would be 2:30 West Coast.
Oh man, yeah, it is. It's 5 a.m. Ooh, that's gonna be an early one. Well, anyways, I'll be streaming it live. We'll have some coffee. We'll get through this. And if you're able to tune in, some things you will be able to see. I know we talked about this last weekend, but it's it's coming up, so we're gonna talk about it again. So we got the Golden Gnomes happening Friday. That's the big event on the Friday, and then we have the Great Gillenorian Cook-Off from 11 a.m. to 11:45. You have to do that's British Standard Time again. You have to do the conversion yourself. And that's just basic cook-off, making a 3-course RuneScape meal from scratch. At 12 o'clock noon, the cosplay show and cosplay Golden Gnome Awards. Lore Q&A starts at 1 p.m. Old School Creators Q&A starts at 2 p.m. Mythbusters, RuneScape Mythbusters starts at 3 p.m. Ron plays games. He's gonna do a RuneScape style game show that starts at 4 p.m. Then the RuneScape 3 keynote at 5 p.m. and the Old School RuneScape keynote at 6:15. That's on stage 1, and a bunch of other fun stuff going on at stage 2. Now, the panel stage, I should say. So I imagine the main stage is what's going to be on most of the stream.
Yeah.
But we will have Zyra's letting us know what is going on, and he's lined up a bunch of interviews to do as well, so it should be pretty cool. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. So you can come watch the event with us. Magpie, that's super early for you, especially the beginning. So
yeah,
but you can join us later on as well. But yeah, that's kind of the event schedule for Runefest yet again. But the thing that everyone looks forward to is the Old School RuneScape keynote. They're going to talk about what they have planned for the next year of Old School RuneScape. And it seems like they kind of hit on PVM, PvP, a quest. I'm going off the past 2 Runefests. And then I guess they kind of have like the wild card.
Yeah. Like it was a farming guild.
Or maybe skilling. Maybe that's it. Maybe they hit every single one of them. Maybe it's a skilling category. So what do you think? Like, do you have any inkling what they might be talking about this year? So
I think they pretty much teased it on this Q&A that just happened today, but pretty much everyone knew that they're going to announce Raids 3. So the big one is, like, PVM-wise, I think it's going to be Raids 3. It's time for them to announce something like that, considering 2017 we got Raids 1. Then a year and a half later, Raids 2, Theater of Blood, came out July 2018. And then a year and a half after that would be ample time for Raids 3, so maybe a January time or something for this one.
Damn, that is exciting. Where do you think it would take place?
I like your desert idea, Menaphos, especially because that's the only place in the map that isn't filled in yet. So yeah, it's true. Although desert alternatively, they could just announce like Desert Treasure 2 or something and fill it out that way.
Yeah, that's another possibility.
That would be a good shout.
And they have talked about releasing more area of Zaya, like the Kingdom of Varlamore, so that could easily have a raid contained into it as well.
Yeah.
I'm kind of feeling a Raids 3 as well, actually, and so I guess we're both gonna pick the same one. Probably a desert raid. That's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna say the name. It's the name as well, the Sands of Time. Which, as I say that, I'm pretty sure that might be our World of Warcraft raid.
Well, we've had the Chambers of Sarek, the Theater of Blood. What's next? Like the Pantomime of Narda. I don't know.
The Sands of Time. That seems too easy, though. I don't know.
The Pyramid of someone. Some new, like, boss. Like, almost like the Chambers of Sarek. The Pyramid of...
Yeah, that's like, or like the crypts of Menaphos.
Crypt is a good shout. If it's a desert thing and they don't at least have one crypt related name in there, then
you know what I think would be a cool mechanic to add, and I'm sure people would hate this, but having to manage like having like water skins in the raid.
Oh yeah, well I mean, don't you? If with Desert Amulet 4, you don't need them anymore, do you? You know what I was like? If we're going in depth into like the PVM, if we do think it's a new raid, which I think we can agree, I think they announced it as well today. They teased it, but
they kind of did, but they also said some things that were like made me think that they might not do it. And I'll just quickly say that what they mentioned was if they bring out a new raid, the problem is with the weapons, how do you do it? Because we've gotten to a spot where, you know, it's tricky to bring anything best in slot worthy. And there's not many little niche corners of weapons to bring in.
Yeah, the rewards, I guess. So let's break it down in terms of like mechanics. We already think we have the setting down. Mechanics, we obviously won't be able to guess perfectly. Like nobody was going to be able to call like Theater of Blood or Chambers mechanics on day one, but we can.
Do you think the death mechanics will be like Theater of Blood or Chambers of Xeric?
I mean, honestly, it's probably going to be another 100k chess meme. Let's be honest. That's going to be, you're going to go over to Khalid or Ahmed or something in the desert. He's going to have a 100k chess meme.
But do you think like one death, kind of like Theater of Blood, where like if you die, then the rest of your party has to beat it without you?
I would be like, I would love some new death mechanics. That's the one thing I hope. That's my hopeful prediction for Runefest, is they handle the death mechanics. Like, goddamn, we need to address the death mechanics in this game, especially because of how broken it's gone, where the best way to do certain bosses is to just suicide straight up, like Cowfight Queen and stuff. So I really like the idea for the new PVM. Guess whether it's raids or otherwise. If it is a raid, make it so that when you go in, you're not allowed to equip any other gear. I've read that idea somewhere. That would be a really, really cool idea. Because think about it, then you'd have like someone who's specifically got like a blowpipe and max range gear equipped, and then someone with like max melee, and someone with a T-bow and stuff, and you can't switch any of your gear out. Maybe there are like certain rest sections or something. Maybe if it's like a pyramid, once you get to each tomb, you can like make minor adjustments or something, but that way you have like way more defined roles.
I like that. I would love there for the be like as you said, defined roles within a raid instead of just everyone do everything.
It would be pretty sick. And then other than that, I think like death mechanic wise, it'd probably be similar to Theater of Blood. It just depends on who they gear it to. It might be a mid-level raid for all we know. It might be like something that's not even on the level of Chambers of Xeric, which I think would be like a little bit disappointing for high-level players, but who cares? Like mid-level players would enjoy it. What I like, the other idea that I was thinking was, what if it was a pyramid? And because it's a pyramid, there are like different levels, right? So as you go up the pyramid, the raid gets harder. And that way you can cater to every single person. Because the idea is you lock the best uniques behind like the top levels. But you go in, you can't get any more supplies or anything. And so the lower level, lower gear, like mid-level players stay on like the first and second levels of the pyramid. And then the high level players can consistently get to the top levels where that's the real like end game stuff. So that way, even on day one, like mid-level players can go and enjoy it and stuff. Because the other thing was like with raids 1 and raids 2, it comes out and all the high level players are like, yeah, this is great, and everyone else is just like watching from the sidelines on a Twitch stream or something.
That's kind of a cool idea. And with Talos and RuneScape 3, they kind of have something similar where you kill it and then you keep killing it and it gets harder and harder, but his drops get better and better. And this would make it a way to be I mean, everything in RuneScape for the most part is pretty grindy, and but this would make the raid like, yeah, you're grinding it over and over again, but it keeps getting more and more difficult until your party fails.
Yeah, that would be nice. And we know they're not they're not opposed to taking ideas from RS3 as long as it fits in.
Oh, I would say like quite often we think we're getting something unique, and it turns out it's already in RuneScape 3 somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So
there's nothing wrong with that, but it's
those are my like big predictions. But what do you think like for the Sands of Time? Because you're the guy who coined the idea.
It's hard to say. There's things that I would hope it's. I like what they did with Theater of Blood, and I hope they make it like just as difficult. I have no idea. I'm having trouble like actually predicting like what they could do, but I just hope it's something where they think out of the box and bring in some new mechanics, and they seem to do that when it comes to raiding, but then a lot of these bosses, they're nothing special, nothing crazy, like Hydra, like a lot of the mechanics there, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's tough because like nobody wants to just go into a raid and have it be like hit the boss, drink a brew,
and then it's like, change your prayer every 5 hits and don't step in the fire. You know what I mean?
Hear me out on this. What if the new raid was in the God Wars dungeon? Oh. What if it was like Nex?
Oh, that could be another solid one, because people. I wasn't playing when Nex came out, but people loved Nex. They said it was a really good boss.
Same with me. Like Nex was just after my time, but I'm just thinking like maybe it's not maybe the new PVM announcement is like Nex or something from RS3, or maybe not even RS3, but just an expansion to God Wars, or maybe it's just like God Wars Dungeon 2 Electric Boogaloo or some raid based on God Wars Dungeon.
That could also work. I would also be on board for that. What are some other areas I could see taking place?
Lumbridge. You just spawn in your first day. You just see like a giant foot crumple you.
The Temple of Noobs.
Oh, dude, Anubis. Come on, the desert memes write themselves.
If we do get I don't think this would happen, but if whatever raid we get, I would love for one of the bosses not to be some crazy giant monster, but to be like another human.
Oh yeah.
In World of Warcraft, there was, same idea. All the bosses were like really huge and a lot bigger. There were dragons and monsters. But I remember in Burning Crusade, there's one of the raids called the Black Temple. And after killing like these giant machines and these giant monsters, you get to a room where you fought a council of people, and it was just 5 people that you had to fight or something like that. I remember thinking that was so cool that you're not fighting anything huge. You're fighting just another human being. Well, not a human being, but in this game, I would love for you to face another human, someone the same size as you.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, like, I really like the idea behind, like, a lot of monsters overwhelming you at once. And as I was thinking about that, I realized we already had that in Theater of Blood with the Night Locust room. But it would be really nice if it was just, like, a bunch of shadows, like, overwhelm you and stuff.
There's a lot they could do, and I'm excited to see what they're gonna bring out. Yeah, I know, we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Let's talk rewards. What do you think?
I honestly have no idea. That's the thing. That's the one thing that I'm like, this is why they wouldn't bring the next raid, because I don't think they can come up with any good rewards. They have trouble bringing rewards just for PvP blogs or pull blogs. So I think they're kind of they need to. I don't know. That's my one argument against not bringing raids, that they're having problems bringing in new gear, and they feel the community is not on board with bringing on a whole new tier of weapons yet. Therefore,
yeah,
I don't know. And there's only so much we can, like, they can't put a whole a whole raid filled with like, this does X amount of damage more towards mummies or desert creatures.
Yeah.
Or reptiles.
Well, I've heard a lot of rumblings, like over months and months and months. Raids 1, what was the biggest unique that we got from it?
Twisted bow. Oh.
How fast does it attack? 5 ticks, 2-handed, best in slot range weapon. You see where I'm going with this?
I think so.
Theater of Blood, what did it give us?
The Scythe.
Scythe, best in slot melee weapon. And I've heard a lot of rumblings. If it is Raids 3, more than anything, the odds-on favorite would be the best in slot mage weapon. Most likely, though, it would be a 5-tick, 2-handed mage weapon of some kind. Because we don't have a lot of 2-handed mage weapons. The arm staff was the only one, really. And, like, we know the memes that happened with that, so...
Yeah, that's right. And the desert, desert treasure, ancient magics.
Exactly.
That's a pretty good call.
Yeah. So that's like the big thing I think a lot of people are guessing is 2-handed, slower trident of some kind. I don't know how they would balance it because things like Zulrah would be so disgustingly broken with it. But
yeah. But I don't like.
It would be pretty nice.
It sounds perfectly fitting.
But then, like you mentioned, yeah, the fact that they're struggling with the rewards, like, can't really add too much. We have a great stab weapon that came out with the last raid. We have a great slash weapon that came out with Song of the Elves and the Gauntlet. I guess like a crossbow or something.
Yeah.
Crossbow, some kind of range shield. The best thing we've gotten over the last 2 years is the Dragonfire Ward, and before that it was the Twisted Buckler.
Yeah.
But if we get some kind of like damage boosting range shield, even though like range is already super broken, magic shield, but we have the arcane spirit shield, so I'm just wondering like,
I don't know. I think that's the that's what's going to be holding the raid back, is coming out with enough items that warrant a whole new raid.
What we need is to like build on. The problem is they can't build on any of the armors because nobody wants Bandos and Armadillo to be replaced, because that's the only reason why God War's Dungeon has any value.
Yeah.
What if they had things like, I'm a big fan of this, like attachments to upgrade existing weapons to keep their value. Like, we just saw the Basilisk Face Jaw, or the Basilisk Jaw or whatever, for the Natives Not Face Guard. But more importantly, something that gave another PVM weapon value, something like the Kodai Insignia from Raids 1. To make the Kodai wand, you need the Master Wand. Or the Avernic Defender, which comes as a hilt. You need the Dragon Defender for it.
Yeah, that's true. There's going to be you can't do that to everything. And like, maybe you could if you brought in God Wars 2, but I couldn't see like the desert coming out and it's like, hey, equip this to your bandos and you'll get this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it just doesn't fit too well. But the thing is like, Jagex would do it. I just think from like, it just seems lazy.
Yeah.
And I think at some point, bandos, armadillo, that's it for the armors. At some point, they should be kind of replaced. But I also think doing it right, they won't be completely replaced, because the Grazi Rapier never replaced the Tentacle Whip, or even the Whip for that matter. Mm-hmm. That was a prediction from Deegan way back.
Yeah. And,
whip prices are still 2.5 mil, and the Rapier is sitting at
180 something, I think.
180 mil, so really,
it just added to the meta instead of replacing it.
Yeah, because it's way too expensive for the average person, and I mean, you know what? I don't. The only even the.
What if we just got like dual extendo Uzis, or like a red dot sight sniper, or some crazy like? What if you just got a gnome copter carpet bomb to call in?
that seems pretty out there, but I love it. Let's do it. I think
let's go
you do that.
Let's go RuneScape 3 on it.
It's like RuneScape 4, and then you can bring in like a mechanic skill and like a gunsmith skill. One day, maybe, hopefully not.
Yeah, never.
But yeah, but even looking at like Barrow's gear, 3.1 mil for Darox. The only thing that's really did drop is Guthan's, because Guthan's was always about 10 mil. Now it's about 3 mil. But you know, Verac sitting at 1.1 mil. That's dropped a little bit, but
yeah,
you know, it's still, they're not low enough where they're like completely irrelevant. It's tough though. I guess we'll move on to the next category though. Yeah. Quest. What's the next quest line you think?
Ooh. It's either gonna be Karamja or the Desert Treasure 2. They've got to do something with the desert, man. It's the only part of the map that's closed. Like, if you're in Jagex and you're sitting there like thinking about what's ahead for the next year, you look at the world map. There's no way you don't look at the desert and go, that's the only part of the map we haven't filled in yet. Let's do it. Like,
yeah.
It's gotta be, like, if Raids 3 isn't in the desert, then the new quest is, like, Desert Treasure 2 or Menaphos or something. Like,
I mean, you really want to drop a huge update on us, release Desert Treasure 2, and bring the new raid with it, right?
Yeah, well...
That seems like too much for one update, but...
For one update, maybe. It depends, because Theater of Blood released the next quest in the Mauritania area, which... The thing is, you can't lock the raid behind the new quest, because none of the other raids are locked behind quests.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I wouldn't, you know, I don't think that's a bad thing to have it locked behind a quest. It's annoying for some people, but it's just like, it's just yet another one of those quests. It's like, hey, when you unlock this quest, look at what it opens up, right? Yeah.
Quest-wise, I mean, we're probably going to have someone else die in a story somewhere, just based on the way, like, most stories go. So it's not even a spoiler alert at this point if you haven't done Dragon Slayer 2 or Monkey Madness 2, but
skip ahead a minute if you haven't.
yeah, well, even 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, both of them have people die. That's all I was gonna say. So more likely, even Song of the Elves, I guess, but that person didn't matter.
No one cared. Yeah, that's right.
So we don't care about them. Probably some random dude in the desert. What if the Phoenix dies or something?
What Phoenix?
You know the Phoenix in, like, Sophonim, who just, like, walks around and has, like, no use other than the Bob storyline? Like A Tale of Two Cats and stuff.
Oh, that cat. Oh, the Sphinx, right?
Oh, did I say Phoenix?
Yeah.
Oh, I meant Sphinx, yeah.
Yeah, the Sphinx. I mean, that could die, and that could be kind of sad. Yeah, I think Desert Treasure 2 is a pretty strong one. My prediction, I'll go a little bit different. I think maybe they'll release they'll release a bunch of quests for Zaya while also having like a master quest at least with it. Not finishing the storyline, but something that will be like, because right now we do have some quests on Zaya, but they're very like.
They're basic introduction quests to another storyline.
Yeah, that's it. And right now it's, you know, it's Zarek, right? That's the lead up to, like, who is he? Where is he? And what really happened with him after the war in Zaya. There's that, and then there's also Varlamore. So you could have a huge quest that leads up to the release of Varlamore as well, which is the kingdom that was at war with the Great Korend. So there's a bunch you can do there, and Zaya's kind of like their blank canvas, where they're like, well, we can really do whatever story we want. It doesn't have to be canon within the RuneScape universe. Yeah.
What about one small favor too? Two small favors.
Two small favors. You're gonna hear the Jmods get booed off stage on that one.
Yeah. Rat Catchers 2. Oh god, that's my least favorite quest. Hate that quest.
Honestly, they could release a quest where the stray dog in Varrock finally gets rescued, and people would be like, yes. Even if it was like a novice level quest, they'd be like, hell yeah.
Yeah, you get a standing ovation, and then everybody stood up and clapped, and then everybody went home. Like one of those like 4-year-old stories in first grade. And the person who announces it, Albert Einstein.
What a good guy. He just really did a lot in his lifetime. All right, PvP. Fuck, is this even worth talking about? What do you think the PvP is going to be?
Do you know, I think the PvP section is going to be really short, mostly because they're going to realize that half the people don't care about PvP, and of that half, like 25%, like half of that half is going to absolutely boo them off the stage. Just because, like, we've had so many PvP related, like, poll blogs and updates. What I would hope for them to do is give, like, a wilderness outline for the future. Or give, like, you know, where it's not like we're going to introduce another PvP game mode. Maybe they talk about Bounty Hunter a bit. I assume they're going to do that. I think the big PvP thing will be the Bounty Hunter rework, actually. They're going to give more information about that. But if they do anything more, it's going to be like, yo, this is the wilderness. So as you can see here and here and here, these are the rev caves. We regret those. We're going to roll them back. Well, someone can dream. But in all seriousness, most likely they're just going to like take a look at the wilderness, see how they can adjust like the mechanics, fix like some clan man issues where it's like clans can lock down parts of the wilderness, like big PvP clans can lock down rev caves on 2K Total Worlds, things like that where it's like, is it really good for the game? Question mark, yes, no. They're gonna have to figure that out and see like what they can change while still keeping the wilderness what it is. And maybe it is the Varlamore thing, but you know, like, I would have thought they'd move Last Man Standing to Varlamore.
I think that might have been the plan, because they talked about having the Colosseum released.
Exactly, yeah. And if you want to give a quick refresher, because I know you know your Varlamore stuff.
Of the Colosseum?
Yeah.
Well, they talked about bringing a Colosseum, because Varlamore is supposed to be like it looks like it's supposed to be like a remake of Rome. So they're gonna have the Colosseum, which was supposed to be like a dual arena times 2. And I remember when I was reading about that, I thought they were gonna be bringing like, I don't know if you remember in RuneScape 2.5, so before it was RuneScape 3, but not quite RuneScape 2, they had like, in the duel arena, they had almost like tournaments, and you could sign up for like, I don't know, it's like a round robin kind of thing. Not round robin, but
yeah,
you know, your classic tournament ladder, and then everyone would put in like 100K and the winner would win all of it, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that would be it. But, you know, now that we're kind of talking about it, here's my 2 predictions for the PvP section. One, they're going to bring out arenas, and maybe they could use the Varlamore Colosseum. And when I talk about arenas, I talk about basically the shit that World of Warcraft has, where it'd be like, there's 2v2s and 3v3s and 5v5s. Those are the different types of arenas you could be in, and like the team sizes. And you have some, I don't know, arena gear you could win. But it'd be like, you and I, Magpie, were like, let's make a team, and we can only be in one arena team. So we join a team, the 2v2 team together, and we see how high up the high scores we can get.
Yeah.
And the higher we are, the more points we have, and then we can use that points on stuff, I guess, or claim different gear.
If I'm there, we won't go very far. I can guarantee you that shit, but
we'll be, don't worry,
we'll be rooted.
Well, I have been playing Last Man Standing. Lockout.
Yeah, you carry me.
So that's what I would think. That's more of like what I hope they bring out. But another pitch that I'm going to put is that they don't necessarily do a PvP focused update, but more of things that will supplement PvP and other things. I would love for them to come out and say, hey, we don't really have plans for what we're going to do with PvP, but we're going to rework the clan chat system and like actually have clans in the game. And we're going to rework like the magic damage, figure out how to do that.
The clan chat thing is a good shout. That would be a great welcome addition that's been like cried out for years now.
And I think it helps everyone. Like, it would help PvPers as well, because, you know, I would say clanning is much more PvP focused, but it's used by everybody. That's the thing. You know, we all have our clan chats and stuff, and like might not ever PvP, and there's tons of PVM clans, but I feel like having a PvP clan, that's much more almost like the essence of clanning, the origins, almost like where it all started.
Yeah.
The PvP one's gonna be interesting because as you can see, they tried a bunch of stuff and it's just not working. And I think we're gonna talk a bit more about that because they had the polls come out this week. I guess, does that just leave skilling?
Yeah.
Skilling or the wild card. This one, I have no idea what they would bring. I don't think they're gonna bring out a new skill. I don't think they're gonna pitch that again. And I don't know if there's any skills that people are really asking to be expanded on.
It's going to be tough because I'm trying to think, like, we had the farming guild last year. That was a really well received expansion.
So I was tied in with Mount Curriculum as a whole too.
Yeah. So maybe they're going to have that kind of expansion, like, what if it's just like a prayer expansion or something? No, surely it's going to be more than that. Like, what can they do? Because they just added a new fishing type with aerial fishing. Like another gathering, like a hunter rework, a hunting guild maybe? But that seems like out there as well, to be honest. So
in the QA, they kind of mentioned this. I don't think this will be part of it, but they talked about, is there plans on bringing in more guilds? And one guy said he can't think of any that is really necessary, but off the top of his head, he could see a max guild being brought into the game. I mean, clearly not many people are going to care for it, but I mean, I guess it's kind of fitting. I mean, it is fitting.
Yeah.
But it's just not going to benefit.
Well, if they make like a hunter expansion, normally the skill like expansions that they announce are in line with like another big piece of content. So like you were talking about how I mentioned Farming Guild and you instantly thought Mount Cruel. What was the skilling thing for 2017's Runefest? Dragon Slayer 2 announced. I think we also had the Farming Guild. Where like they talked about animal husbandry.
They did talk about that randomly. Oh yeah, they did talk about that. Was in the original pitch for the Farming Guild. That's right. I'm
just thinking, like, the Farming Guild was so or the Farming Guild was talked about for so long, I should say. It was teased for so much that like you knew it was coming.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they talk about, I think they talked about it to the Runefest, before the Runefest that they were actually bringing it in, because they didn't even announce it last Runefest. They just brought it in the year of Mount Curriculum being released. But yeah, it's one of those things that when they do release it, it's almost completely different than how they originally pitched it. Theater of Blood's the same thing. All the mechanics they talked about bringing in and all the weapons and armors, we got none of them. Yeah. So it's not a bad thing. Theater of Blood's great, but so much time goes by that it gets reworked in their own building.
I know RuneScape 3 just had like the smithing rework. I don't think we're going to see anything like that. But
yeah, we're not quite there.
We can't have any like crafting or cooking or smithing reworks. None of the artisan skills, so to speak, need a change. If they announce another Slayer dungeon at this point, I might as well just not quit the game, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Bang my head on the table.
Be very, very upset.
Yeah. I am upset. Like one of those fake protest signs. It's going to be tough. Like, I think we're both stuck on this because there's nothing that they can really announce other than a new skill.
They could bring in a new skilling method or skilling boss for some of the more less preferred skills to train.
Yeah. Could do. Could be like, honestly, here's what I would love. Going back to like what we've been talking about for months, just revamp all the skilling mini games, revamp Fishing Trawler, revamp Trouble Brewing, go over things like Hunter. If you want a skilling boss, that would probably be the one, even though we have Herbivore in the game.
True.
Like, so many mini games that are just dead content because it's not worth doing for anybody who either doesn't want the cosmetic or isn't like some area locked Ultimate Iron Man.
That's a good call. I could definitely see them going back and reworking a bunch of those.
Gnome Restaurant.
Sick. Hell yeah. Give it a little rework. Give it some lovin'.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Cool.
Gnome Restaurant 2, Gordon Ramsay cuisine style.
Awesome. Well, let's see. That could be it. Only a week away. But without further ado, should we jump over to the news and talk about what we did get to see this week?
Yep, let's do it. Enough conjecture and more reaction.
Yes. All right, news time. And what we're going to start off with, the big news of the week, which is the new quest that was dropped onto us, the Fremennik Exiles. So the intro is: the Fremennik bards often sing tales of the past, of great battles, deadly foes, and heroes long gone. However, in recent years, things have been much quieter in the province, as there's increasingly less to sing about. All that is about to change, though, as what starts off as a simple investigation soon leads to one of the greatest threats the Fremenniks have ever seen. The next installment in the Fremennik questline is here. This quest was written by Mod Wolf and Mod Ed, who wrote and developed the quest. And I guess we'll go over some of the requirements that are necessary before you start it. So the quest requirements are the Fremennik Isles, Lunar Diplomacy, Mountain Daughter, and the Hero's Quest. And your skill requirements are 65 crafting, 60 fishing, 55 rune crafting, 60 slayer, and 60 smithing. And rewards, if you care about spoilers, skip 10 seconds, but 2 quest points, access to the new island of Stone, 15k crafting experience, 5,000 rune crafting experience, and 15,000 slayer experience. All right, so the Island of Stone. It's a new dungeon available after the quest, and it contains Dagonoths, Basilisks, and the new Basilisk Knights. Dagonoths are split across 3 rooms, which are multi-combat, and cannons are allowed. The Basilisks and the Basilisk Knight are each split across 2 rooms, which are single-way combat with no cannons allowed. The knights featured in the quest can be fought after completion as part of Basilisk Slayer tasks. They have a better drop table, including a unique item called the Basilisk Jaw. If killed off task, the drop rate of the jaw is lower. And with the jaw, you can combine it with the Natus Knot helmet to get the Natus Knot face guard. It requires 70 defense and the completion of the Fremennik Exiles to wear. The helm can be freely reverted at any time and will convert back to the normal helmet. Plus a jaw, the helmet of Natus Knot plus the jaw if lost in PvP. It has the following stats. No attack bonuses, but the defense are stab plus 36, slash plus 34, crush plus 38, magic plus 3, and range plus 34. Other bonuses, it has a plus 6 to strength, melee strength, and plus 3 to prayer. With it comes 2 new Slayer points. With it comes 2 new unlocks in the Slayer point reward shop. The Basilisk, which requires 80 points. This unlocks Basilisk tasks for Konar, Duradel, and Neve or Steve. And the Basilonger is 100 Slayer points, and it extends a Basilisk task from all Slayer Masters. All right, so I guess first things first. You did the quest. What did you think?
Yep. It was refreshing in the sense that it wasn't too long. Super short. I did it with a bunch of friends without a guide. We just hopped in. There are I guess I could say I have some minor concerns about them. Like, just some minor bugbears. Like, I noticed this in Song of the Elves, and it happened again here, where sometimes it feels like the quest length is artificially extended just by making you do certain dumb tasks. that like don't add to the story at all. Like
I have done the quest, and I should say, if you want it to be fresh and you don't want spoilers of any sorts, skip ahead 5 minutes or so. Yep. But I mean, we won't go into like we're going to tell you the verbatim the story, but as we talk about some of the gripes and some of the things we liked, there might be some details of the story that come out. So anyways, sorry, continue. Yeah. Well, what's an example of the artificial extending of the quest?
You probably recognize it, but like, you know when you go to dunk your rock in the geyser?
Yes.
And your character literally goes, no, I can't do this. I need to go talk to Peer the Seer to cleanse my memories or something.
Right.
And it's like, literally, you're right there. You have that one step to do, and then your character, for some reason, decides he has to go talk to Peer the Seer. And then you go back and do the exact same thing, except now you have the ability to dunk the rock. I know some people found it funny or whatever. I didn't mind like some of the pet rock memes, but with the it just feels like one of those things with Song of the Elves. I noticed they took a lot of like quest steps and they recycled a bunch. Like just like Song of the Elves, we had the part where we had to kill a bunch of basilisks to gain like 100%.
Yeah.
Readiness or whatever, just like in Song of the Elves when you have to kill every mourner in West Ardy, or when you have to kill every mourner in that Civil War fight.
Yeah, they're pretty similar. I do want to agree with you, but the whole quest felt like it was artificially extended. I did it without a guide as well, and there was a bunch of times where I went to go do something like, you go to this geyser. We have to clean your rock, so you have to you have to polish it using the geyser. So you go to do it, and then it's like, oh, I can't do this. I need to, forget all my memories of the rock. Then you go to do it, and then you go back again, and it's like, oh, I can't do it because there's a fish here. So now you have to go back and grab a fishing rod. Which, if you're doing a quest guide, you're gonna bring the fishing rod with you. Myself, I didn't have a fishing rod, so I'm like, ugh, now I have to go back to the bank and then run all the way back again. And I felt there was a lot of stuff like that where you'd go to do it and you're like, oh, I have everything they told me to bring. And then it was like, actually, I can't do it because this. And then you're like, ugh, now I need to go get this item from my bank. And there's no banks in the area, so you're kind of going back and forth a bunch.
Yeah, like my favorite part of the quest, my favorite parts of every quest generally is like puzzles that are really intuitive. So the mastermind game that they had at the end was my favorite part of the quest, honestly.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, the puzzle was awesome.
Yeah, I like quests that have like puzzles that rely on your ability to think more than anything. Song of the Elves had another one with the pillars.
That was a doozy. I had to ask you for help. I had to beg you. She wouldn't tell me the answer.
But like, you know what I mean? Just like those are really nice mechanics where it's like you actually feel like you're engaging instead of go here, click this, do this, kill 10 of these. It seems like, when you're playing an RPG and it's like, have you ever played like a non-standout RPG? Like some of them, like The Witcher, are great in terms of their side quests, but I'm just talking like your average, like Dragon Age Oranges. Did I say Oranges? Dragon Age Origins.
I couldn't tell, but
Dragon Age Inquisition. RPGs that aren't like historically good ones, where just like all the side quests are fetch quests. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, you have to kill 20 people in this area to continue, and then it's a quest complete. That's what some of the steps felt like with the basilisk part. That's what the dunking the whole thing felt like. But in terms of the length, the pacing of the thing was really nice. It was really straightforward in terms of if you start the quest, you need to get these 4 items, and then you're done. Boom, easy. It wasn't anything like One Small Favor. It does mean that we have more to add on to for the Fremennik storyline in terms of like the chapter is over, but the story isn't over, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which is nice, but for a master quest, it was whatever. Like, I don't know if they were the ones who compared it to Swan Song, or someone who I was doing the quest with was the one comparing it to Swan Song by themselves, but it felt like there was a lot of parallels, especially with the whole like tower defensive relica thing, things like that. Like you could see a couple of parallels there. So all in all, I liked it. But
sorry,
no, I was just gonna say I liked it, but it wasn't perfect. It was decent. It was a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I feel pretty similar. I felt, well, my main issue is having quests like Dragon Slayer 2 and having Song of the Elves, and hell, even the Zaya quests, those entry-level kind of quests. I felt the standards for a quest, like the writing of a quest, are a lot higher than they were, and this quest felt like very lazy and rushed. And one thing I didn't like was there's a bunch of times where you could have a dramatic moment in the quest, and they skipped over it, where it's like, you know, you go to investigate this at the beginning of the quest, you have to go investigate some issue someone has, and then you go and you're like, oh no, you know, there's these monsters I just found out. Let me go tell the chief. And then you go tell the chief, and he was like, the council just found out, and they have exiled you.
Yeah.
Meet me south of the town. And it's just like, oh, like you could have had a dramatic moment where the council gets together and they start arguing whether or not they should kick you out of the tribe, or the whatever you want to call it. But instead, you just go talk to the dude and like, oh yeah, they decided that you're not part of you shouldn't be in the clan anymore, so you're gone. And you're just like, oh, that all happened so fast. All right, whatever.
Yeah, we've been getting less cutscenes in general, to be honest.
Yeah, and like you could have parts where that made a dramatic cutscene where it's like, they kicked me out and I was like, okay, I don't really care. I wasn't invested. And then I went ahead and with the quest, and I wasn't.
And you could just walk through Relka, yeah.
Yeah, I felt the writing was very lazy and rushed, and I didn't care so much for.
I have a theory for why that is,
down.
actually, now that we know something that we, like, will be coming up in another section, but.
Ooh, is this, we're going to talk about it now?
I guess if you want to talk about it now. We know that this was a labor of love by Mod Wolf that he's had sitting on the back burner for the last 2 years or something, right?
Yeah, and when he originally pitched it, it was his own personal project that he said, like, okay, fuck it, not going to work on it anymore because of the whole, the Gilbert's colors and the gay pride outrage that community had, right? He was kind of,
yeah. I assume the reason why it might feel rushed in some parts is because they were working to get it out before he left. I don't know if he gave them like a 2 weeks heads up, 2 weeks notice.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. I mean, I'd imagine he left on good terms. So in which case he would have probably just been like, yeah, 2 weeks from now I'm leaving. And then they're like, he could have even known it from farther. And he's like, you know what? I have all of these. I have like on the hard drive, I have a bunch of shit I've been working on. Instead of just deleting it all, me and Mod Ed will sit here and we'll get it out before I leave.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. So I don't know if he felt rushed to do it or if everyone felt rushed to do it, but that could explain some things.
Yeah, I could see it because even the quest was just felt lazy and rushed. So that makes total sense. And you know, with the new basilisks dropping the new face guard, the face guard looks sick, but
yeah.
I've seen that there's been the community's been complaining that the basilisk knights are too easy to kill.
Which they're going to patch on Thursday as well, this upcoming.
Yeah. But like,
patch. Yeah, they could have balanced it.
Well, you kind of screwed up when the community's like, yo, this is too easy.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the discussions that we've been having with cheat clients and how people like things made easier for them. If that same community is saying this is too easy, like,
then you real fucked up. So yeah, people were saying there. I've seen a lot of people questioning like why didn't we get a basilisk boss at the very least, a new Slayer boss or something? Like why did we have to get a farmable boss that's not even that hard to kill? You just throw on some prayer, and every now and then they hit you with melee, right? Is that all the mechanics? Am I missing something?
No, it's pretty much. I haven't even done them, to be honest. I'm not going to buy the 500 points to unlock them. I can't be bothered. It's not like an enjoyable fight. But the other variable in this is they probably just wanted to get this done before Runefest. They wanted to just throw something out there, which, I mean, the monsters are not engaging. The quest is super short, like refreshingly short, but also there's not much substance to it either.
Yeah. It's a quest that, like, if you could do a guide and you're not going to miss anything. You're not missing a great story.
Yeah. Whereas, like, Song of the Elves, sometimes the writing was iffy in some parts, but doing that was, like, a day-long, like, puzzle, like, finding
and it was an adventure.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly.
You know, doing that, though, even entering that grand library or whatever it was called, that was such an epic moment, especially when that music track comes on. Still one of my favorite RuneScape songs.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Some people are going to say, well, that one's a grand master quest. This one isn't. This is only a master. It shouldn't be as long, blah, blah, blah. That's fair. But the problem is mid-level players are going to be doing this quest most likely before they do things like Song of the Elves in the future.
Sure.
And that's where the whole, like, quests are bad mentality comes from. Like, people develop this attitude because so many of the early quests are boring, and they get to Dragon Slayer 2, they get to Song of the Elves, and at that point they're just burnt out. They've already, like, it's like a psychological thing where you prime yourself. It's like if you go to a theme park as a kid and you tell yourself you're not going to enjoy it, you're not going to enjoy your time.
Yeah.
So if you don't go into it with an open mind, like, you're just going to be like, oh, this quest sucks. Questing sucks. I hate questing.
Yeah, and then who cares with the lore? The lore is silly. Because I always felt the same way. And then now, as I'm, like, you know, getting farther in my account, I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to know what this world, I spend so much time in, I want to know what the hell is actually going on.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, man, some of this shit's pretty cool. It's just not always executed properly. So it's, you know, yeah, I get what you're saying. And also, like, it's a master quest, but I mean, Desert Treasure was a master quest, and that's pretty epic.
Swan Song was pretty fun. Swan Song had a lot of cutscenes, and, like, that is a really nice master quest because it's an iconic character, Wise Old Man. You discover so much about him. It's really good for lore junkies. And you could tell, like, a lot of work was put into that quest, way more than this quest. Which,
yeah, that's right.
I mean, was it the right time to release a quest a week before Runefest? They could have announced it at Runefest, and then it could have even, like, strengthened to the Runefest lineup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it was like, they announced all this stuff and a new Fremennik quest, instead of now it's like, okay, we just got a rushed Fremennik quest, and now they're going to announce a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's the problem. And they're never going to go back and rework some of these quests to make them more cool, because we've all finished it already. We've moved on, so...
They need... But see, speaking of that, like, there are some quests in the game that are dire. They're so bad in terms of writing or even technically. Legends Quest is, like, an aberration. That thing is horrible, because it came out so long ago. Yeah, because it came out so long ago, like... If you go back and play it now, when I came back to old school and I played it, I didn't realize how, like, bad it was on a technical level, where the animations stutter and stall for your character when you do certain things. Sometimes your character has no animations at all, because back then, like, they didn't have a crawling animation or something. So there are times where it's like your character searches the bookcase and then you appear, like, on the opposite side.
Yeah.
There are things where it's like the whole quest stalls for long periods. Like, you know, at the final boss fight for Legends Quest, you're basically stuck in a cutscene where you take damage, and I don't know if that's an intended mechanic, but you basically sit there, and the quest guide, if you follow a quest guide, tells you to pray melee before the cutscene starts, because the boss fight starts and you get, like, 4 hits of damage taken by a level 170 monster before you can even fight back. And it just seems like so technically bad in terms of just badly written. Like, you see the same character in 2 different places at the same time. It's badly, like, structured. It's technically, it's not the best. Like, they need to revisit some of these quests.
Yeah, I never thought, like, because Legends Quest is a quest I just skip right through, and I don't realize, like, how it is old. That was classic RuneScape Classic days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. It would be nice to kind of, but the problem, who's gonna go and do that, right? It's just it's one of those quests that's like, well, it's just a shitty written quest, but we promise the next ones will be good, you know?
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed with the writing. The boss fight at the end was okay. It wasn't terrible. The rewards, I mean, the puzzle was good, but the rewards, I was like, I wasn't too excited to go grind out the new Island of Stone. You're the one who mentioned it a couple episodes ago. All these Slayer dungeons are getting old, right?
Yeah, it's getting out of hand now. Like,
yeah, we lost Neve's cave, and now we're just getting mini versions of that everywhere.
The reason why is because I think they're trying to add value to Konar because it's so like location specific, so they want to add more locations to do certain things. I assume that's the reasoning. But why couldn't they have had cooler mechanics in these dungeons? Why couldn't they have made it so that when you go to do Konar, it's not so much you're just changing where you're fighting things, but also how you're fighting things? Let's say in the new Island of Stone, you are rewarded for staying longer, just like the Tails thing or whatever in the Runefest predictions, like where I was suggesting something where the longer you stay, the further through you get, like the better the rewards. Maybe it works out like that in the Island of Stone, where the longer you sit there killing Dagonoths, the harder they become, and also maybe that's what could have dropped the Nada's not like mask instead of a basilisk mouthpiece or something.
Yeah. It
could have been like you just have to keep killing Dagonoths and the room gets harder and harder. Or like Mount Karum, it's like these monsters do way more damage, but they take way more damage as well. Just like cool mechanics that change the way you do Slayer and the way you think about doing Slayer as well. Like maybe in one dungeon everything hits through prayer, but everything's multi-combat and cannonable. I don't know, like.
Yeah, they could have really changed things up. I agree, and I'm surprised. It's just lazy and it's like uninspired, you know.
Yeah, I think it's rushed. I wouldn't go so far as to call it uninspired. I would call it rushed. Like they had a plan and a vision in mind, and then they realized we have like a week to get through this.
And we need something to pass. Let's do Slayer Caves. It's easy. Who's gonna complain about that?
Yeah.
Well, joke's on them, because we are.
Ever the positive, ever the optimist we are here.
Yeah. And is that it? What else is there to talk about with the quest? This on the Q&A today, they mentioned they might reduce the strength bonus from 6 down to 5 of the face guard.
Thank God.
Yeah, you think so?
Well, I was complaining about this. Why is it so high in the first place? Why is it the best in slot melee gear but offers no negatives compared to the second best in slot?
Yeah, it's true.
Doesn't use any charges and stuff.
You're just making it obsolete, the Serpentine.
Yeah, well, the Serpentine is still used for things like Theater of Blood, but other than that, yeah, it's pretty much you're better.
Is it because of the poison?
Yeah, you have to have a venom inflicting weapon or the Serp Helm for the Nilocus in the Verzik fight for P2. There's a specific mechanic where it like has this purple Nilocus that spawns and starts healing it, and you can use like a trident or something, but it doesn't always work with 100% success in venoming the Nilocus, so you lose a lot of time if you don't have the Serp Helm.
Gotcha. Okay.
And plus, if you're in max gear, yeah, you won't have a trident anyway.
It's very situational. That's it's.
Yeah, exactly.
It kind of just fell into place there, right? But yeah, well, that's the quest. If anyone has any other opinions, let us know. I'm curious to hear. But yeah, in the end, I was kind of like, oh, that's it. Like I feel we got spoiled with like Song of the Elves and Dragon Slayer 2. Quests like that had such epic writing, and me seeing that Mod Ed was on it, I was expecting a bit more, but as you said, it maybe was because they were rushed.
Yeah,
only so much you can do. I mean, we see that problem all the time where with Destiny, a game that I loved for a while, the story was dog shit in the game, and it was because some guy had written the whole story of the game, and then he got fired from the company. What's the company that does Halo?
Bungie.
Yeah, Bungie. He got fired by Bungie, and then some new guy came in and had to redo the whole entire story that he built, and he had like 2 months to do it. So we got a dog shit story. So something similar. About it in this dev blog, they kind of go over the Runefest update, the Runefest events that we already went over. I didn't realize it was in this dev blog, but there's one quick change that we should have said was the lore Q&A is moving to 1 p.m. on the main stage, and it's replacing the data stream. At 4 p.m. on the panel stage, we'll be hosting an annual survey results session. So you can see the results of the survey, which was like, I think that was the one that was asking the direction of the game that you wanted.
Yeah.
Or
wait, does this mean the data stream's gone? No, surely not.
It might be. I don't see it here.
You've got to be kidding me. That's
Weird.
always super fun.
It is, although, yeah, I don't know. I hope they do their own data stream then, because Mod Matt K used to do it like every New Year's.
Yeah. Do you wonder why they've replaced the data stream? Maybe there's some like incriminating stuff. Maybe they don't want investors to know something, or the player base to know something. I don't know.
It could be as easy as they don't have enough. They're like scrambling, like shit. We're not going to have the data stream ready in time, and we don't want to rush to get it ready and then have to scrap it last minute.
Yeah.
But it also maybe it could be that's like the average level has gone. You know, maybe it's stuff where it's like, holy shit! Like if we show this, that's going to prove that with the release of mobile, the large amount of bots that have been created, or something along those lines, which
the average account has 99 woodcutting and no other stats.
Yeah, for real.
90% of female players are actually controlled by guys.
What?
Yeah, just
catfished again. It just keeps happening. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the news there. And then, of course, we're gonna move on to a message about unofficial clients. So they have the write-up here, but they also did talk about it on the dev blog.
On the Q&A, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. They talked about it today on the Q&A. So we're going to throw it over to Mod Sween and let him talk about answer some questions about third-party clients. More specifically, with the emergence of OS Buddy adding these new cheat plugins and RuneLite Plus that has no affiliation with RuneLite. It's just a version that has very cheap and very controversial plugins. So here it is, Mr. Mod Sween. Take it away.
First one, what took so long to publish a statement, and why was the statement delayed? I guess the very honest answer is that because it's such a big, sensitive subject, there are lots of people who need to sign off any official comms from around the studio. So there are lots of back and forth about, firstly, we need to talk about what we want to say, then we need to make sure we're saying it the right way, and then we need to make sure that everybody's happy with what we're saying. Today, that kind of final sign-off came. In terms of what took so long, when you look at the last 6 years, I'm afraid we can't really help that right now. All we can do is look forward and try and make sure any action we do with third-party clients is the right one to do. What I will say is, personally, in my time in the old school team, I haven't seen this determination from, I guess, the senior leadership team around Jagex and the old school team to fix the third-party client issue. That encourages me. Hopefully that encourages you. We'll share more when we can about a longer-term solution. Next question, are you communicating with the developers of these clients? So there has been some communication between senior members of the studio and some developers. I can't tell you what's being discussed or who between. What I will say is, if you're a developer of a client, you're encouraged to contact oldschoolcommunity@jagex.com if you wish to discuss the contents of the statement and how it might affect your development work. Next question, if Jagex says that a certain feature is against the rules, but thousands of people have used it for months, why won't you ban them? How is it fair that they get to keep their advantage over players who do the content in future? I kind of alluded to it already with the kind of frustration and lack of action we've taken over the last 6 years. So while we understand the frustration, we think it would be unfair to apply that kind of sanction to players when the stance wasn't clear enough. And we do apologise for the lack of clarity, but I know it kind of seems a bit of a repetition point here, but going forward, we will make sure the right action and the right communication is nice and open. In the blog, we mentioned more clarity if it's needed, quite a few times, actually. Where do we get it? At Jagex Support just sends links to the rules page. It doesn't mention clients. And your other staff don't reply or just direct us to Jagex Support. How do I know that what I'm doing won't get me banned? So our answer is, while our player-facing staff can't promise individual replies to everything sent to them on every topic, especially if it's outside their own field of knowledge, we'll issue updates to this statement for major points of confusion that arise. So keep an eye on the page. That's the third-party client statement page, which you'll find at !FreePC, and also follow at Old School RS for updates and at Jagex Support for updates. Next question, what will you do to players who use these features that are mentioned in the blog? So like we said in the blog, we're taking time to assess how best to enforce the approach, but ultimately the use of unacceptable features will result in account bans. So short term, and in the meantime, that's what we'll be doing. Longer term, we need to assess what's the best approach beyond banning. Question in a similar vein, what will you do to those developing and sharing clients which use these features? Again, we're taking time to assess the proper approach, and that's the correct legal approach. We'll communicate with an update once this has been decided. That update may not be made public and might just be specific and communicated specifically for those developing and sharing. You talk about other clients, but don't mention your official client. What are the plans here? Why don't you update yours or partner with another unofficial client? Somewhat of a long answer here, so do forgive me. I know I'm talking a lot. Hopefully we'll get some more game-related questions, because at the moment I need to make sure I'm saying the right things. So in response to why don't we update our own client or partner with somebody else, we want to work with you to determine the right long-term solution. There was some impulsive action last year which the player base weren't happy with, so I might as well be explicit with what I'm describing when we said we'd shut Runelight down. So that was the impulsive action which you guys weren't happy with. We don't want to discount any options, being updating our own client or partnering with somebody else. There are lots of things to consider though. If we further develop our own client, how do we determine which features should be added? We've seen the issues that might arise if we just add to our own Java client and we know how, I don't say insecure, but we know that Java comes with other issues. So what if we were to take a longer term approach and work to introduce a C++ client? It means if we wanted to update our own client, you'd be waiting longer, but we wouldn't encounter the same issues we are now. If we partner with a client, then what do we do with other clients, particularly those which are forks from or derived from another client? So at a top level, it might look exactly the same. So those are the kind of considerations we're having. We don't have anything we can say right now, but like I said earlier, I haven't seen this level of determination from the studio and the old school team, the old school leadership to fix the issue since I joined the old school team. That is largely it I've got from third-party client questions. If you have more, and I expect there will be more, I mean, we've only just published the blog, then we will look to answer those as best we can.
So yeah, I know that was a bit long. There's a long time waiting, not a long time waiting, but a lot of people are anticipating this. They even pushed back their Wednesday Q&A because they didn't have this message ready. So here we are, Monday now, like 4 handful of days later.
5 days.
And 5 days, sweet, that's right, the first time. With an answer that was, I don't know, I felt like there wasn't, it was, he said a lot without saying much at all.
Yeah, he spoke for a long time, didn't say anything, kind of thing.
Yeah, and sorry to put everyone through that. But yeah. It's almost like, and I get it, it's a tough topic to touch on, but you know, it's them being like, please don't do anything. If we catch you, we'll ban you. But the problem is, like, is there really any way of knowing with these cheap plugins? So I think the thing that we should probably do is read between the lines, and well, first of all, the first thing everyone should do is calm down, because I saw Twitch chat, like, I couldn't watch it live, but I went back and watched the replay, and everyone was just flaming the hell out of them, which, like, first of all, you're shooting the messenger. These aren't the guys that are deciding what to do. And second, like, these guys are trying their best. Ultimately, it's a very, like,
very, very tough situation for them to be in. And that's what, like, what I was going to suggest is, first thing we have to do is read between the lines. Immediately, like, I went and watched the replay, and you could tell they had been told to avoid addressing certain things and to be very, very careful about what to say. Mod Sween was reading down not only the questions, but he was also reading answers that either he wrote or that someone else had written for him.
Yeah, I would say the answers was prepared for him, probably by like multiple people.
Yeah, some kind of PR spokesperson or some kind of company lawyer or both, a team.
Yeah.
The other thing is, Mod Gambit was there. He was talking about something completely different, but you can tell the atmosphere was so like on edge. He was talking about nerfing or buffing the new Basilisk Knights, and he literally stopped himself. I don't know if you remember, and he went like, "Oh, am I allowed to say this?" And then he went, "Yeah," but he was like, he actually said that out loud, like, "Oh, I'm not sure if I should say this."
Yeah, it looked like they had they were there was a lot going on in their heads. Maybe not all of them, but I know. I'm pretty sure I know the time you're talking about, because he I kind of thought he was going to be the one that was delivering this message, just the way the look on his face and just the vibes I got from him. And then it's tricky.
We had that like whole thing basically clouding up the Q&A. The contents of what they said, they had a lot of fluff, but if you read between the lines of what he's saying, it sounds like they know that there's going to be a shitstorm, like a backlash here. And it just looked like, even like Mod Sween, when he was talking about certain things, he mentioned the Runelight controversy last year, where he was kind of on the edge, should I say it? And then he just said, I guess I'll just come out and be transparent. And he mentioned when Jagex tried to take Runelight down, he could tell like there was a bit of that engine work meme in there, and he was like, okay, I might as well just say it. Like, he was trying to say that the engine sucked ass. You could tell because he was like trying to find a word that wouldn't piss probably his superiors off, but he basically called it like insecure, and then had to like back down from that language and say like, oh, there might be unforeseen issues or something. But you could tell like they were very specific in trying to avoid, they're in a really tough situation where they're trying to avoid a shitstorm from the players and a shitstorm from their higher ups in the company and like Jagex corporate or whatever.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
What you end up getting is a lot of waffle, clouding very little factual statements. But then if you combine that with what they say and in the dev blog and try to pair them up together, it's like, in like National Treasure, where they line up two pieces of like the Declaration of Independence with like another parchment, and they shine a light on it and it actually reveals a message.
Okay, yeah.
That's what we have to do. We have to like line up the quote and the dev blog, and you get them basically saying, we don't approve of this, but we actually can't do anything. And
you mentioning like the Java client and how they would love to move over to C++. Listen, I don't know much about the coding world. My girlfriend knows way more than I do, and I'm not about to bring her in to ask what's the difference between Java and C++. But a month ago, to this day, Mod Atlas left the company after being with the team for 15 years, and he was also the guy who was the main dude working on the engine.
Yeah.
And I was reading posts and people were speculating that, him working with the engine for so long, like RuneScape's old, and it probably has Mod Ash says a bunch where like the code's just terribly written. It's spaghetti code. And when he's coding something or adding something to the game, he's constantly fixing things up to make it more tidy. So when you have someone who's been working on the code for 15 years and he knows his way around it, and suddenly leaves the company, and now you need to bring in other engine devs, I guess. It's how much harder it would be for them to like work on the actual client.
Yeah.
When you don't have like the supervisor who knows all around the code, and like when you're like, no, now we don't. You need to learn it, and
yeah, RuneScape uses
fun.
its own. Well, RuneScape 3 had to pour over from Java at some point because it just became trash. And RuneScape 3 is actually a modern game, whereas we're all living in the past, so it's not as bad for us. But here's the big issues. RuneScape 3 moved on from Java because it sucked. Old school RuneScape still uses the basic coding language that RuneScape uses, which is RuneScript. It's a modified version of Java, which means anybody coming in, even if they have Java experience, there's going to be a learning process because they have to learn RuneScript on top of learning Java. It's almost like learning an Algerian dialect of French or something, where it's like it's based off of that base language, but it's so different at this point that you might as well be learning another language.
It'd be like going to Jamaica and having to learn, the Jamaican English kind of, where it's like very similar, but there's some words you're like, that's... Right?
Yeah. It's like going to a really far-flung corner of the earth and trying to learn their English there, where it's like really broken, like New Jersey or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And like going back to the topic, they basically say in the dev blog, I don't know, do you want to read the dev blog out? Or do you
sure,
want to read the key parts?
Yeah, we'll quickly read it because it's almost like it's worded differently, and it's signed the old school team, so no one wants to take responsibility for this one. All right. For as long as old school has existed, unofficial clients have existed alongside it. While these did not initially cause significant issues, over time some add-ons offered by clients have become too intrusive, affecting the gameplay in unacceptable ways and competing for players' attentions by offering increasingly overpowered benefits. While we've always made it clear that players using unofficial clients are doing so entirely at their own risk, we'd like to take this opportunity to offer some clarity. As the game's owners, we need to look at both of the current situation and where things will inevitably go in the future. We'll be more proactive in protecting the interests of the game by outlining what features aren't acceptable and by acting if these features are abused. We'd like to note that it's impossible to list every potential feature, so here we give general principles and examples. We consider features which enable you to bypass gameplay mechanics to be unacceptable, like those which might indicate where projectiles would land and where NPCs might spawn, or which protection prayers to activate. The same can be said of features which might modify how you select actions in the game or change how you click on menus, players, or NPCs, especially where the feature leads to you using fewer clicks than you would when using our client. Here are some examples of the unacceptable features. These are just examples and not an exhaustive list. Features which allow you to engage in blackjacking NPCs with fewer clicks than our client would allow you. Features which allow you to interact with altars with fewer clicks than our client would allow you. Features which allow you to interact with construction hotspots and items with fewer clicks than our client would allow. Interacting with logs with fewer clicks than our client would allow. Telling you where Vorkath's attacks might land. Telling you where to stand to avoid Zolra's attacks and what protection prayer to use. And telling you what the next demonic gorilla attack will be. As we've said, this is not an exhaustive list, and we reserve the right to add features to this list in the future. We'll continue to monitor community concerns about other specific features and offer more clarity if it's needed. We're assessing our options on how best to enforce this, but ultimately, use of unacceptable features which we consider to be detrimental to the community's experience of the game will result in account bans. However, we don't want players to be left in constant fear of possible bans, so we'll give advance warning if any additional features are being considered for the list. This statement isn't meant to cover all possibilities since new ones may emerge at any time, but it should give you more clarity about what you can or cannot do in the meantime. We hope to be able to offer more clarity in the future, and we're reaching out to the community to identify the right long-term solution which strikes the right balance between player enjoyment and game integrity. Thank you for your patience, the old school team.
So we can instantly, again, read between the lines and say there's one thing there that suggests that they actually are powerless to do anything, which is when they talk about evaluating their options and stuff. That sounds like a lot of waffle to me, and basically saying, so previously I'd heard that they can't detect what client you're using. That's partially why they can't ban bots that are on botting clients, because they can't tell how you access the game. Recently I heard that they can see what client you're using from the top down level, but I just want to highlight one quote from here, which is, we're assessing our options on how best to enforce this, but ultimately use of unacceptable features blah 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 will result in account bans. So if they're still assessing their options on how to enforce this means that they don't have a way of enforcing it yet.
That's the thing. I've been they can see what you see, but overlays aren't really on your client. They're just slapped on top. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. The other thing is, notice how not all of these are cheat client specific. The demonic plugin is just a Runelite plugin.
Yeah. And I'm sure that would mean for Jad too, right? Jad has its own.
Well, Jad did have its own prayer plugin, but it was taken away from Runelite because it was considered to be too broken.
Gotcha.
It also had its own Zulrah helper, which told you where to move, and that was part of the controversy when it first came onto the scene, because Jagex told them to remove certain plugins or else they would be taken down. And the problem is these cheat clients have come to the fore and they've dominated the conversation, and they actually have the Zulrah helper. And
what was it? Conduit? Was that the third?
Yeah.
That one told you where the Lizardman Shaman were shooting their poison bubbles, and then now that's another one that it tells you the Vorkath where the attack might land. That's exactly what the Conduit plugin did.
Yeah. There's a bunch of Runelite spin-offs, Z-Lite, Runelite Plus, there's a ton of them. But ultimately, we're going to have to figure out a way of how to detect, or Jagex is going to have to figure out a way on detecting what client people use. And what I think, we've been calling for this for ages, and they actually addressed it. Why don't they incorporate a third-party client into their game? I realize it would kind of seem like favoritism if they chose one client to incorporate or to partner with. The other thing I think that they absolutely would not be able to reveal on stream is doing that would probably cost money. They would either need to hire those developers that develop the client, or hire people who can develop the client for them, considering people are Jagex is hemorrhaging employees at this point.
Yeah,
not
that's
really
true.
Looking too ideal. So we'll have to see how they address this. What's most likely going to happen is Runelite's already been scared straight by Jagex. They're probably going to update their client and remove a bunch of plugins.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I know
it's
already.
Going in the next couple days.
Yep, Runelite Plus, or maybe not Runelite Plus, but I was sent a screenshot of an announcement made by one of the cheat client developers on their Discord. I don't know who it is. I have the name, but it's not clear which Discord server they're in. And they said, Jagex can't tell what plugins you use. We're going to keep every single plugin in the client, and you are going to have to use them at your own risk if you want to use them. They're not saying go for it and use them, but they're basically saying we're not going to take them out. You'll have the option of using them still. So we'll have to see.
It's tricky, and I don't know enough about this, but I do wonder, if you forced everyone to use your official client. I know this it's an unpopular opinion, but let's say are you able to put some sort of watermark on your client where it can detect when people aren't using your client?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like DRM. It's like how if you download songs from Apple Music, like iTunes, or if you download songs from Spotify onto your computer, they're not just MP3, they're protected. They have to be validated by the right software. They can do that for the client, but the problem becomes the current client is so bad that I know several people who straight up said if Runelite is taken out, they might as well just quit. Because it's not just about the quality of life stuff. It's not just about bang tags, which are super useful, super like valuable. I think they're like vital to my play style, at least, just because the way I've organized my bank, it's such a hassle to have to switch between every tab, which I know is like a personal issue, and most likely I'll have to address that if they decide to remove all third-party clients. But it's more so the critical stuff, which is being able to use your GPU, being able to play at 60 frames per second. 60 frames, like how are we not able to run the vanilla client at 60 frames? It's ridiculous. Even the mobile client can play at 60 frames, I think, now. So things like that, which are just like people take for granted. For some people, it's playing in low detail. We don't have a low detail mode in the OSRS client, even though we had one on like RS2 back in the day. So for people who still have like really old computers, they can't play RuneScape maybe.
Yeah, it's tough, and I don't know. I don't think they were ready to give an answer right now, but the problem is that these, with OS Buddy bringing out all these like really sketchy plugins, they're like, okay, well, we have to say something, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very controversial subject. I love RuneLite, but I wish I could use the official client and be okay with it.
Yeah, it sucks that they basically had to announce they announced an announcement that didn't really reveal anything pretty much. They said they announced that they were going to host this Q&A where they were going to announce what they were going to do, and they ended up telling us that they were going to do nothing pretty much, except I guess the fact that they've said that these are going to be punished by account bans is a step in the right direction. But at the same time, I would have really enjoyed it if they had just said, okay, we are totally against cheat clients. As of now, we have, maybe they won't announce this, maybe this is what they're doing, but they've been told not to say it, but maybe they have a team working on this to detect cheat clients or something behind the scenes. But
yeah,
at least if they had just said, okay, people using cheat clients, you guys have a week to sort out your plugins. After that, we will start enforcing blanket bans on the ones that we've listed in the dev blog. And then it's like, boom, RuneLite is going to get its act together. Probably only RuneLite at this point. OS Buddy is still going to be lagging behind. At this point, if they don't change it by a week, go to osbuddy.com, check the client. Are they still advertising these cheap plugins? Boom, DMCA shut down. All the stuff that we hate as individual players and as gamers and stuff, all the anti-piracy stuff, this could be the only situation where it's actually used for the better. Where it's someone stealing your intellectual property, someone stealing the game that you made, is your copyrighted game, and they're affecting it. It's like how Counter-Strike takes legal action against big-time cheaters. They could have done that. You know how I'm not sure if it was Valve or another game, but they take action against people who have hacked the game and spread aimbots and stuff. People your average person who's DDoSing someone in one server, but the people who actually build the aimbots and stuff
and sell them for $5.
Yeah, exactly. Those people are the ones targeted. It's when you try to shut down a drug empire, you don't go for the guy on the street corner who's actually selling small amounts. You go for the actual kingpins. You go for the people producing the drug. That's what they should be doing. Shut down the websites.
At the roots.
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe it's stuck to a couple Discord servers. That's fine because now it's you've quarantined the issue. It's a specific group of players instead of new people who might be enticed to download OS Buddy and stuff.
It feels like the third party problem has been going on for a while, and it just keeps slowly escalating until we're at the point where it's this, right?
Yeah.
Well, just one of those things. We'll have to wait and see. I don't, they're not going to force us to use their official client because after losing Mod Atlas, you're not going to be getting many updates to it anytime soon. Well, with that being said, do you want to sneak over to the community chatter, talk about what's the scuttlebutt within the community?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get some more enlightening news. Surely there's some positives, right?
There might be. Well, first things first, you mentioned it earlier, but Mod Wolf has left Jagex. Oh boy. the one who was I'd assume is the main person behind Fremennik Exiles. Yeah, he recently resigned.
I was just gonna say he worked on it as a labor of love.
Yeah, and he was a member of the quality assurance team. So he worked on a bunch of small things, and I guess just made sure everything was coming out all prim and proper. But yeah, he's been with the team for quite some time. I don't even know how long. It says here that he joined the quality assurance team in January 2014. Then he moved over to Old School RuneScape in 2017. And yeah, and then he left today, actually. And if you watch the Q&As, he was the one who was, for a while now, was like kind of running show. After Mod Archie went to the PvP side of the company, Mod Wolf took over, and then I guess Mod Sween's doing it now. Yeah, he said his farewell. Let me see if I can find it here. So Mod Wolf says, Old School and RuneScape players, thank you all so much for your passion, feedback, and most of all, friendship over my time being here. I'm sad to announce that I'm leaving the Old School RuneScape team and Jagex as of today. We have such a great community, and it is what has made our game so successful over the years. Keep voting in the polls and collaborating with the Old School team. Nearly 6 years I've worked here, and I've had the incredible opportunity of doing so much, releasing quests, working on raising thousands of pounds for charity, met incredible players, hosted our weekly streams and Runefest, not to mention stage presentations. You all as a community and everyone I've ever worked with at Jagex are a family to me, and it truly upsets me to leave, but it's time to move on to new things. If you're coming to Runefest, please come over and say hi, and maybe goodbye. I'll still be on Twitter, so you can interact, so I can interact with you all, and you can keep up to date on my life if you fancy. I'll also be streaming, so feel free to follow him at twitch.tv/wolfosrs. All the best. Much love, Mod Wolf. Posted on Twitter, and then Mod Matt K responded to it saying, about fucking time. I mean, shit, not another one. And then OMG at my blue glasses on Twitter says, Mr. Matt K, how long do you think Old School RuneScape has left until they are forced to add microtransactions to make up for player loss? And then ex-mod Matt K said, we talked about this in one of my streams over the weekend. I think between 5 and 8 years. I mean, I don't know if that holds any weight. I mean, at the same time, he knew what was coming, but we are starting to see a higher influx of players, or a higher influx of what we all consider the core Old School RuneScape team. It seems like they're starting to resign for different reasons, and we know we've talked about it before, but there's a number of reasons why. We hear all the time how the pay is not the greatest at Jagex. How working with RuneScript is essentially career suicide because you can never transfer the stuff you learn with RuneScript to any other coding language, or like you can't ever bring it to another job. And quite often it's a passion project. Like people go there because they love RuneScape, but having to travel or just for the game itself, it doesn't always work out. But
have you seen, I know this is like somewhat random, but have you seen Matt K's Twitter and his stream since he left?
Not really. Have you?
He has been so refreshingly honest. He has this new series of like things you can't post as a Jmod.
Oh, really? What do you mean?
So this is one from a couple weeks ago. Things you cannot tweet at a Jmod, and it's a screenshot of him messaging Mod Jed, and he goes, hey buddy, Jagex won't give me my account back, can you recover it for me? By the way, can I borrow 612 Argentinian pesos, please?
Jeez. Man, if there's anyone who's trying to stir that conspiracy pot, it's
funny?
Okay.
Is 612 Argentinian pesos comes out to $11.
Jeez.
So he's been like really, really refreshing. The reply. He deleted the reply.
I haven't seen why he left yet, but it's unfortunate, and who knows, we might see the actual reason emerge over the next At some point, we might hear it. Who knows, though? Maybe he might go full Matt K on us, and I don't know what the hell's going on over there.
Yeah.
I have a feeling like they probably signed like an NDA for, I don't know, was it like 6 months or something? I'm not sure what the standard is for companies, but I could see as soon as his is finished, him coming out and be like, yeah, this is what happened with everything. Mod Matt K, I mean, I'm not sure about Mod Wolf.
It's just refreshing to hear like someone who was on the inside and like he's not leaking everything. I'm sure he signed some non-disclosure agreements and stuff, and I don't think his mission is to like turn the community against Jagex, but it's just like you can tell he's finally able to speak his mind to some extent.
Yeah, that's right. So that's the problem when a game with like RuneScape and you have a huge community, like you really got to be careful what you say. All right, but we did put together a little montage of just some clips of him on YouTube and Twitter. Not Twitter, sorry, Twitch. Just little funny moments, I guess, of him hosting Q&As. And I also have the YouTube video of when mobile first got put into the BAFTA Awards, which happened some odd months ago. I mean, at this rate, it's probably a year ago, but I'm losing track of time. So that one's a little bit of a skit, but I always thought it was kind of funny, and so I got the whole thing in there. So, yeah, I'll go play that for you guys.
So, what do you guys want to do for lunch?
We could pull it in game.
Guys! You're not going to believe this.
You've got 60 agility.
No, soon. We've been nominated for a BAFTA Game Award.
Are you sure? Remember that time you said we were going to get a Tony Award for RuneScape Live?
That might still happen.
All the time you told us that you got the Infernal Cake before Wooks.
Listen, Wooks definitely cheated. I just need to find out how to prove it.
Wooks won. Anyway, are you sure we've been nominated for a BAFTA? They must have noticed that old school RuneScape isn't a Battle Royale game, right? And we don't have an angry main character with a big bushy godlike beard and a Wild West setting, right?
That's all true, but no, honestly, look, see?
He's right. We've been nominated for EE Mobile Game of the Year Award.
And look, it's also voted for by the public.
BAFTA must have been really impressed with our seamless cross-platform gameplay, retro graphics, and deep story narratives that are often lacking from mobile games that choose instead to focus on being short-lived commercial successes rather than long-term community-driven gaming experiences.
You know, maybe we should let everybody know they can go over to BAFTA.org to vote for Old School RuneScape as the EE Mobile Game of the Year.
Indeed. Or we could tell them that you can download and play Old School RuneScape right now for free on any PC or Android or iOS mobile device.
Yes. Yes, we should.
So, what did you guys want to do for lunch?
Voted for by the public.
BAFTA must have been really impressed with
I have a trigger finger on, sorry. Is about, it's from Nan, and he asks, would it be possible to return items to their original positions when exiting the in-game price checker and trade screen?
Screen.
I meant screen. Sorry.
Actually hear it now.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I reckon with enough effort, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it could be done.
Sick.
Yes, Mod Bruno, highlight that one. Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry, excuse me. Mod Bruno, highlight that one. That's disgusting, sorry. West is behind the camera right now. He's about to start work on a pumpkin. It's one of the scariest things in the world he's going to be carving. It's not the RuneScape 3 logo.
Everyone wants +1.
+1.
Let's just straw poll, Mod Rye. Go on. Should we give the mage capes and the imbued versions +1 prayer? Let's just see what they say. I'm sure they're going to say yes, but let's see. I move on to the next question.
Hey, add +73.
I'm dead on the inside. Right, the next question from Unusual. when Donald Trump, when he visited North Korea, and we got that one login from North Korea that day, we went,
That all makes sense.
maybe he plays. Who knows?
That said, if you do want the best...
Protect from range,
By the
and like
way,
wooks.
Iron Man,
If I do it like that,
this is
I can like prayer flick a little bit. It's pretty.
Put it above your head.
Oh, that is so cringy.
So cringe, haha.
And what comes with smoke? Straight fire. Take it away, boys! Yar!
See, Shanny's still playing, but listening back to that, no, it's fine. But you realize, like, Mod Wolf was really, really funny in the sense that he knew he was cringe and he didn't care. He was just really, like, positive and nice to be around.
He almost had like a very personable attitude, personality. Yeah, I don't know. He's just one of those people that when they resign and quit Jagex, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. You remember them. You remember them as one of the core members of the team, even though, like, looking back, seeing he only started in 2017, I feel like he had been there for so much longer. You know?
Yeah. He's really appreciated, I think, by a lot of the community, just because you could tell he really cares, and he represents the good parts of this community, where he takes like all the 73 memes in his sea shanty, and he knows it's cringy, but he accepts it, and he's fine with it. He owns himself, and that's the best way to make things not awkward, just by appreciating them.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess in the end, sad to see you go, but you know, it's the way she goes sometimes, right?
Don't cry because it's over, small, because it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just gonna go into like really bad Facebook cringe quotes now.
Let's go on
Live,
Instagram.
laugh, love.
Yeah. so touching and beautiful. All right. So yeah, that was another one of the big news coming out today. It's been a crazy week, and then we got Runefest coming up. So, boy, what a roller coaster. And as far as other community chatter, the only other thing I saw was this article by Kotaku.
Yep.
And it says, player spends $62,000 in RuneScape, reigniting community anger around microtransactions.
Yeah.
And the whole point of it is basically saying, at what point does it become not pay to play, but pay to pay more?
Yeah. So this comes at a time when the UK Parliament has been trying to shut down a lot of predatory practices regarding gambling, microtransactions, and stuff like that in video games. Things like loot boxes and stuff. They are going off of a paper that this Kotaku article also cites, that was presented to the Parliament, that specifically used RuneScape as an example of a British-run company that had these predatory practices. And they used the example of they used a quote by, was it a Jagex employee or someone who used to be a Jagex employee or something, who said that the whole whale thing that was talked about years ago on this podcast, I know when you guys mentioned like the possibility of microtransactions, 10% of the player base basically of RS3 keeps it running because they are whales, and one of them spent like 62,000, as it was mentioned. I think the big takeaway was that 10% of the player base spends like combined up to 90% or some ridiculous number like that. And basically because of that parliamentary inquiry now, as well as the RS3 situation, which I actually like read up on a little bit before we started recording. Do you know how angry RS3 players are at the moment? They haven't had like an update in almost like 4 months or something. Maybe the Land Out of Time was the only update they've had in over 8 months.
Yeah,
from what I've heard.
And they're getting bombarded, and it's because I follow the RuneScape Twitter and so some of RuneScape mods, because I don't play RuneScape 3, but I'll watch the RuneScape keynote because I'm curious to see what they're going to bring next year, because it's always, I mean, sometimes they pitch some really cool ideas. They usually never follow through with it, but the pitch can be kind of cool. And an example is I remember seeing on RuneScape being like, we're coming out with Cerberus, this news, and I was like, oh, they're coming out with the Cerberus boss. Looked into it. No, this is a Cerberus themed microtransaction event where you can win like lava boots and like just cosmetics.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's so yeah. It's not good. It is not good.
Yeah, they've just added tier 80 weapons into the Squeal of Fortune thing that they have now.
Wow.
So it's become even more pay to win. And with the new UK parliamentary inquiry plus this article, people are really, really upset, and a lot more people are jumping ship and getting up in arms.
It's worrying. And in this article, talking to some RuneScape mods, I'm not sure if that means like Jagex mods or what, but things being released like the Rune Pass, which I believe it tackles on an extra $5 or $10 to your monthly subscription, and it gives you Rune Pass was a different form of microtransactions. And the reason to bring out Rune Pass, it's kind of like your battle pass from Fortnite and stuff, and it's quoted as a test to see if we can pull back from other things like Treasure Hunter. Our overall goal is to deliver you frequent, high-quality content updates, bring the game onto more platforms, and tune microtransactions to be less abrasive. But as of right now, it seems like they're doing both. So that's really interesting. I wasn't aware that RuneScape 3 is being used as an argument for predatory practices in gaming and monetizing gaming.
Yeah. It's a big one. And the other big one, I think that they're using this FIFA Ultimate Team with their like player packs.
Yeah, that's another one I hear that's pretty bad. And this isn't the first. I believe I know it's happened in other countries like was it Denmark? Oh, sorry, Sweden was another one. Belgium was the first one to ban loot boxes back in April 2018.
Does this mean that RS3 in Belgium has no MTX?
Well, apparently they only investigated 4 different games. So it's not even like a full-on ban of loot boxes. Yeah, it's messed up. And I remember watching a Jim Sterling video where he like interviews people who have like gambling addictions and how they fall into like these loot boxes and spending a shit ton of money because they have a gambling addiction. And it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. God, what a bummer of a week right before Runefest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been really bad, hasn't it?
Yeah. We got Runefest to look forward to though, right? So yeah, wow, what a fun week we had this one.
This sucks. Life sucks.
Yeah, there's nothing to look forward to ever. What a perfect opportunity to stroll over to that Grand Exchange and tell you how you can purchase the podcast microtransactions. Yippee. Not the best segue, but hey, okay, what we do have going on in the show right now is if you like audiobooks, you get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. I'm currently reading the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? It's really good. I'm hooked. It's the book that inspired Blade Runner. And I've never seen Blade Runner, but I've heard the Blade Runner movies are fantastic. And reading the book, it's super interesting. It's a very odd world, but it's nice. It's not too long. Like I just finished reading one of Brent Week's books. What is it? What's that series? The Black Prism, and it was like 600 pages, and which was still a really great book. I'm going to read the second one after I'm done reading the book I'm reading now, but this one's much smaller. It's like 1/3 of the length. But it's pretty good. You might want to check it out. audibletrial.com/wild. Or if you want to support the show directly, you can go to patreon.com/thewildernesspodcast. And our supporter of the week, you know what? It's very fitting. Our supporter of the week is Zyraz, who is also going to be our on-the-scene correspondent at Runefest. So, if you do become a supporter on the Patreon, it covers the costs of the show because there's money that comes. You can read. I have a little write up there of what exactly it costs, and me going back to school is what I was going to have trouble paying for. Well, I wasn't sure if I was going to have trouble paying for, but you guys have made it so that it's not something I have to stress about. And then anything over the cost of keeping the cost of uploading and all that stuff, we're able to do fun things like having Zyraz go to Runefest. Now, he purchased the tickets himself, but I told him, like, any equipment he buys, I'll use the Patreon money to reimburse. So he's got himself 2 microphones. He's got himself some batteries and stuff. He's prepared for Runefest, and he's going to be there the whole time, kind of not tuning in, but checking into the live stream to tell us what he sees and what's going on there. And he'll be doing some interviews and all that fun stuff. And if you can't check out the stream, that's totally fine. We're going to be, ideally, we'll be having a bunch of the audio next week when we do our post to Runefest podcast episode. Yeah, we do a bunch of fun stuff like that. And it also helps with like upgrading equipment so we can get the best audio quality as possible. So that's patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. And yeah, that's all that stuff. And if you want to follow, I'll be live streaming on twitch.tv/thedills. That's where we're going to be doing the whole Runefest live stream. And like I said, me and Zyraz we were figuring it out earlier today on how we can like communicate with each other seamlessly and how he can send the audio to me. And we have a few ideas, but the way we're trying to work it out is I work at a radio station and we do these things called remote broadcasts where we'll have an announcer who goes to like, I don't know, they'll go to some like festival, let's say some music festival, and he'll have the whole setup so he can do a broadcast there, but you need someone at the studio to be pushing the buttons and telling you like, okay, you're going to go live so-and-so in 5 seconds, and you got to kind of communicate through there. So being able to do that, I thought it would be cool to try to do something similar, but using a live stream instead of a radio broadcast, and then it'll be a bit different, but the same idea where, watching the live stream and then having Zyraz being able to cut in, tell us what is going on.
Should be fun. It'll be nice and interactive, and it'll be nice because we're going to be recapping the stuff and giving live reactions.
Yeah.
The only thing we're missing now is the really clickbaity titles. OMG, Mod Sween said what on stage?
Mod Jed did what? Mod Jed?
You'll never believe who showed up to this year's Runefest.
It's amazing. Yeah, we got some ideas to work with, so it'll be perfect. But yeah, keep an eye out. That'll be starting as soon as Runefest begins on Friday. I'll be going live like an hour beforehand, which is probably around noon Eastern Standard Time. Noon or 1. Well, anywho. But yeah, if you want to hang out with us in game, that is at WildCC. Our Facebook is facebook.com/The Wilderness Podcast. Our Gmail is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter is @TheWildernessRS. Yeah, no, we have a Discord. It's posted on both Twitter and Facebook. God, my brain's fried from all this negativity that we had to go through today. But you have anything you wanna plug? I know you don't usually you don't stream too much and stuff, but who knows? Maybe something's changed over the week
on this internet. I normally wouldn't mind like uploading guides or stuff or something that could actually help people, but right now, like, my internet is really bad. I guess what I will say is, no, just plug the Wilderness Podcast. I guess keep on keeping on. Remember to keep your head up. There are worse things in life than a video game company doing things they're entitled to do because they legally own it. And
yeah, true.
If at any point it gets too much, just step outside, enjoy the fall time. Maybe you're a fan of rain. Some people like the rain. Some people like cloudy skies, so not everything that seems bad really is bad. So it's important to keep that in mind. And then ultimately, when you're enjoying yourself with the game, enjoy yourself and remember to keep on keeping on. I feel like this episode has been like so disheartening that it might be worth just saying that.
That's good. That's a good end. That's a good end message to have to tackle on here.
Next episode, we find out why Dills is quitting RuneScape.
I'm resigning. It's a beautiful message. Okay, let's. Our song of the week, chosen randomly, is "Fire in the Deep."
Ooh.
This is a music track that is unlocked during the fight with the Great Olm in the Chambers of Zarek.
Oh, okay, nice.
Sweet. All right, guys, we'll see you on the live stream, or if not, we'll see you on the post Runefest episode.
Yeah, catch us this Thursday. No, this Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Be there.
Maybe Monday.
Yeah, we're getting loopy here. We need to close this out.
We've already
just faded away before it's